Hearing none there. Sarah, have you taken roll?
Yes.
Okay, we have roll. Next up then would be Pledge of Allegiance. If you'd please rise and join me in recitation of the allegiance. Excuse me, I can't talk. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible,
under God.
Oops. Did we lose everybody? Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so next up, we'll entertain a motion for the approval of the June 23rd, 2020 regular session.
Motion.
That was Larry
Support.
and Roger. Okay, with that, Sarah, would you please take the roll?
Sorry. Yes. Thank you. Audra?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne? Greg?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like that has passed. Moving down to communications, it looks like we have one item. It's not a happy one. Consideration of a motion to receive a communication from IAC Elma LLC regarding notification of imminent layoffs at their facility. So we entertain a motion to receive.
Move to receive. Support.
A motion support reluctantly, I'm sure. So all those in favor, please signify when Sarah calls your name. Sarah, if you would, please.
Hey, Greg.
Yes.
Were there any tax abatements to them?
I'm not aware. That'd be up to Kathy. Have you researched that, Kathy or Matt? Do you know?
I have not, and we just got this the other day, so we'll have to get with Kathy and make sure on that.
But if there are any conditions that we can reclaim some of that, if there were any?
That's my question.
Okay.
They have had some IFTs, so I can get you that information tomorrow.
Okay. So I assume staff will bring a report back to us at our next session then? Is that acceptable? Is that good with you, Larry?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good point. Any other comments or questions? Sorry, I tried to cut it off too soon before. Anyone else? Hearing none. Now, Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne? Mayor?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
And Audra?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very sad.
Certainly is. Yes, that's not what we want to hear. The upside is of that is, these people are losing their jobs, but there are still a lot of people that are advertising for workers. So hopefully they can all relocate to new positions and even better positions soon. Moving down to requests for purchases. First up, we have consideration of a resolution to approve a request for the purchase in the amount of $35,924 to Signature Ford for a 2021 Police Interceptor Utility AWV all-wheel drive vehicle for the Elma Police Department. Your pleasure.
So moved.
Roger, we have a motion.
Support.
Nick supports. Any comments or questions?
Is that the third new car we got this year?
This is on actually the next budget, Larry, but budget cycle is after July. There were 2 last year and then one this year, which was cut down from 2.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And this is just the base vehicle. We outfitted on top of this, is that correct?
Correct,
That's
Mark.
correct. Yeah, that's correct. I think it's around a $12,000 upfit, which is standard.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? I believe we had a motion and support on the table. So Sarah, if you would please.
Thank you. Roxanne? Mayor?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Yes.
Audra?
Oh, yes. Sorry, I couldn't hear.
You get 2 votes.
Out.
Was that a yes?
Yes.
And Roger?
Yes.
Okay. So that motion is passed as well.
Hey, Greg.
Pardon me?
Greg, is anybody else having trouble hearing, or is it just me?
I have raised my volume a couple of times. It's a little bit challenging. It seems to be spotty a little bit on the,
It's cutting in and out.
yes.
Okay.
And apparently it's not just me then.
No.
It feels like we're jumping a little bit. I'm getting a little jump back and forth myself.
Yeah. Okay.
Try and go a little bit slower maybe so it won't be quite so bad. Okay. Thank you, Aaron. So the next item under request for purchase is consideration of a resolution to approve a request for purchase in the amount of $126,163.50 to, believe it's Gawney Trucking Incorporated for biosolids removal at the wastewater treatment plant.
Move approval.
So we have a motion
Support.
and we have support. Thank you, Roger and Michelle. So are there any comments or questions?
Go over this a little bit, the what we're doing here, unforeseen charges and stuff. Go over that a little bit for me, please.
Yeah. What we have is annually, we haul sludge about 3 times a year, give or take, but and a budget cycle anyway, excuse me. And this time we would have waited until the next budget year, which we're in right now, but we had to haul in June, which would have been last month on last budget cycle. And we did an extra haul because of the polishing ponds over there. We used them as a temporary storage for material during the high flood events that we had last year and this spring. So we had an extra haul, and that's what you see for the charges related to the unforeseen flooding. So that's why we had to do it, and we're at their mercy of whenever they're able to haul. If they're able to haul, we have to make ourselves available for it. We couldn't wait until this next budget cycle that we're in right now. So that's the reason for it.
Cost us $126,000 per haul.
No, that was. I get my mute right. There I go.
There you go.
No. That's for their haul that they had from the spring, as well as the haul that they had in June as well for the extra amount. But no, that's a total for those 2 events.
Okay,
Roughly
thank you.
$65,000 per haul.
Yes, but we have to do it whenever they make themselves available. So we had a spring haul and we had this late haul because of that extra sludge that we pulled out of the polishing pond. Normally we would have waited till next year to do the polishing pond, but because we used that as the overflow during the floods, we bumped it up to do it sooner than next year. So.
And we pay by the volume, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. So if the time frames don't match up, volumes make a difference. It comes into play.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, then we'll go to the vote. Sarah, if you would, please.
Mayor?
Yes.
You start. Larry?
Yes. Yes.
Nick?
You're muted, Nick. Nick, you're muted.
Can I get a verbal, Nick? I can't hear you.
Now you should hear me, right?
Yes.
Yikes. Yes.
And Michelle?
Yes.
Audra?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne?
She's muted as well. Roxanne, are you on?
Can you unmute Roxanne?
I know she's there. She had just texted me that she's here, so maybe she's there now.
She's unmuted now. Roxanne?
Are you there, Roxanne?
Yes,
Is that your vote or is that yes, you're here?
yes, both. Yes, vote, and yes, I'm here.
Thank you.
Welcome,
I wasn't
Roxanne.
sure which was mute and which was unmuted. I'm just going to leave myself unmuted. Thank you.
That motion is passed as well. Also, thank you, Sarah. Moving down on the agenda, we'll go to resolutions. First up, we have consideration of a resolution to approve a request from the Elma St. Louis Rotary Club to use Wright Park for a drive-through / carryout summer steak fry on Thursday, July 30th, 2020.
Move
Your pleasure.
approval.
Motion.
No?
Michelle, I think you had the motion. I didn't catch the second.
I think it was Larry.
I'll second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, any background from staff or questions from the commission?
This year, we're just a Rotary Club. We're going to try to do something, obviously, with what's happened. The fair got obviously basically canceled. So we're not able to do our normal steak fry out the youth fair for youth. So what we're going to do in light of the COVID is do a drive-through carry out. Obviously, we're hoping to raise some money for the causes around the community, and using the area around Wright Park there, we feel that we can do a nice flow for drive-through for people just to grab their stuff and keep moving. So we appreciate the use of the area.
Hope you have as many as the Mount Pleasant chicken dinner. Get thousands.
Hey, Greg.
But
Greg,
yes.
I'm a Rotarian. Do you need me to abstain from this vote or can I vote?
I don't see a conflict there. There's no personal interest. If anybody, since you're a member, you've announced it and disclosed it fully, I'm sure you're fine to vote, but it's up to you actually, whether or not
Okay.
you feel you should excuse yourself.
Okay, thank you.
But personally, I don't see any conflict with, being
I'm never sure when you're involved in clubs and stuff, so I wanted to ask. Thank you.
okay. And my approach with that has always been, as long as you disclose the membership, you're fine because there is not a personal interest. If there's a personal interest, you probably should exclude yourself. So any other comments or questions? Hearing none. Sarah, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you. Larry?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Audra?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes,
Mayor?
That motion is carried also. Thank you, Sarah. Moving down to ordinances, we have consideration of a resolution approving ordinance number 816 to amend the zoning map of the city of Alma as it appears in section 60-52 of the ordinances of the city of Alma. The premises herein described the west one half of block 1, block 2, block 3 lying east of Pine River, block 13 and all of adjacent vacated streets and alleys in original town, city of Alma, Gratiot County, Michigan. Commonly known as 615 East Downey Street, which is currently zoned as R1 single family residential and is to be rezoned to L1 light industrial. Your pleasure.
Move approval.
Okay, Roger and Michelle have to fight that one out. Michelle raised her hand first. She gets the motion.
Oh, I was saying I could go second. Doesn't matter.
I'm going to have your arm wrestle, but I'm not sure whether it would work over the phone here.
It's fine.
Okay, so we have the motion on the table. Are there any comments or questions or background from staff? I think we've talked a little bit about this in the past couple of years.
Yeah, this is the space or property that used to be the middle school fields. Avalon has purchased that, and obviously they're an industry that's doing very well, and they need more storage space for their boats. So this area will be storage space for those boats and equipment. So that's what they're going to be using it for at this point.
They very kindly allowed the kids to use it as their practice soccer fields for the last couple of years. So, but we knew this day was coming, and glad to see that they're so successful. They need to expand. Any questions on this one? Nothing. With that, we'll move to a vote. Sarah, if you would once again, please.
Thank you. Nick?
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yes.
Audra?
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Mayor? Right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. It looks like that motion is
Sarah, I don't
passed.
think I voted. I didn't hear my
Sorry?
name called. I vote yes. I didn't hear you call my name, but I vote yes.
Okay, thank you, Roger, and I apologize for missing you there. So it is unanimous, however, so we did get his vote there. 817, to amend the zoning map of the city of Alma as it appears in section 60-52 of the ordinances of the city of Alma. This ordinance is to rezone the premises herein described as Lot 1 and Lot 2, except the south 15 feet thereof, Block 3, Lancashire's addition, including a strip 8.25 feet wide adjacent to the north line of said Lot 1, as disclosed by resolution for vacation of streets as recorded in Library 314, page 60, City of Alma, Gratiot County, Michigan, as recorded in Library 2 of Plats, page 37, Gratiot County Records, commonly known as 803 West Center, from R1 single-family residential district to R2, a two-family residential district, subject to conditions set forth in the conditional rezoning agreement. Your pleasure.
Move
Motion.
approval.
We had a motion, I think Larry and Nick. Background from staff again.
Yep. The difference on this one, this is a conditional rezoning. So we're not just rezoning it like we did with the previous one. There's an agreement that goes with it. Currently, that is a single family home. The college will be renovating that, and it'll be leased out for overnight stays. There's 3 units in there, and this will allow them to do that with the conditions outlaid in the agreement that's coming up in your agenda.
Okay, questions from the commission? We have talked about this before, so no surprises here. With that, I guess we'll entertain the vote. Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yes.
Audra?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
And Nick?
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Moving down to agreements. First up is consideration of a resolution authorizing the execution of a conditional rezoning agreement between the City of Alma and Alma College, who is the property owner, which conditionally rezones the property located at 803 West Center from R1 single-family residential to an R2 two-family residential. Your pleasure there.
Move approval.
Support.
Roger and Nick. Eric, any more to add? This is same property, so.
Yep, same property. This is just actually the agreement that gets attached to the rezoning and gets registered at the Register of Deeds, outlining that they may use this for those overnight stays, as long as they own the property and continue to follow those conditions. And if it does transfer, as long as the new owner follows those conditions, they can continue. If not, then obviously it will revert back to its previous zoning, which was the R1 zoning.
Any comments from staff or from commission or staff, I guess?
Greg, we can't hear you.
Are there any comments? I'm sorry. Did you
That's all right.
commissioners have any comments? Is that better?
Yep.
I never know if I'm yelling at you guys or if.
Now they're going to be running it out. Is it still tax-free?
No, there's some taxes that go along with it. If it's not being used for their direct purposes as a 501c3, then there is some tax liability that comes along with it.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, and if I remember correctly, the one maybe neighbor comment we had was positive for this change.
That's correct. They basically, their comment was if they make this house as nice as they did on the one on the west corner of West Center Street and Philadelphia, they'd be very pleased. It's right across the street from there, and they obviously did a very nice job with it.
Okay, terrific. With that, we'll move to a vote. So Sarah, if you would, please.
Audra,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Roxanne,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
and Michelle.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is carried as well. Next up is consideration of a resolution to approve the 2021 Emergency with Generator Commercial and Industrial Demand Response Customer Agreement with Consumers Energy for a term commencing on June 1st, 2021 and running through September 30th, 2021. That seems like a short span. That doesn't right, is it? Something wrong there. I read that agreement and I don't.
It should be.
Isn't it 3 years?
It should be through 2022. It should be for a 1-year contract.
Oh, it's just a 1 year?
Yes, there's an option for a 3, but I wanted to try the 1 year to see how this works before we enter into a longer term agreement, how much of a benefit we actually get from it. So this is a trial. Right now I'm looking at maybe a $1,500 to $2,000 savings on this if we elect to go with this program. And Energy can contact us up to 5 times a year and ask us to run our standby gen for up to 4 hours total. What that'll do is, and if you can do it in 1 year terms or up to 3 year maximum.
If I remember right, they gave you a little better pricing if you went for 3 years.
Correct.
Do you
Yep.
have the cost us to run that per kilowatt? They pay you 25. Do you know what it costs us to run it?
Yeah, that's kind of the question that we have. We anticipated how much we've called around with consumers. They said that they've never asked anyone to run these in the last 2 years, but I know how my luck is. As soon as you enter an agreement, we'd be asked to do it. Our generator holds, I believe it's 500 gallons to 1,000 gallons. And we looked at how much per kilowatt hour that we would burn in energy. That's how we were able to come up with about the anticipated $1,500 to $2,000 savings if we were to run it for that maximum block for the 5 times 4 hours each. And depending on how the program, I like to look at a 3-year deal, but I want to find out how many times we get called to run this and that type of thing first.
Point of order, we have no motion on the floor yet.
My apologies.
Sorry.
So would somebody like to make a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Roger. Do we have support?
Support.
Nick? Okay, questions now, since David has already given us a little background.
Also, Greg, too, we would be the guinea pig too. There's some talk about we would explore this further in some of the other buildings if this looks to be something that's in our favor.
But it's a diesel generator, right? It's not natural gas?
Yes. Every generator that we have currently is a diesel generator. Yes.
Larry, did you have a question? Okay, hearing none. Any other questions before we move to the vote? All right, Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Roger,
Yes.
Roxanne,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
and Audra.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. That motion's passed. We moved on to reports, and Mr. Schooley, give us your report, please.
Thank you, Greg. Just in the different reports that we have for this week, I'll give you first I attached a memo from Chief Overla on some of the questions that have come up recently, and we'd like to have some, we can do it now or we can have a discussion later too on some of these points. But these are some of the common things that you've seen around the 8 points of light, different things like that, that we just want to give a good impression of. Just want to make sure that there's an understanding of what we train for here within the city, different things like that, just to give you a better point of view, at least where we're coming from. The parking lot update, the heat of the last 2 weeks has caused a little bit of delay as we've went through some things, obviously. But we seem to be getting on track. We're actually having an anticipation of getting the final course down tomorrow. Might take a couple of days to get there. There was a little change in the fact that there was Dave, you'll help me on this one, but we had a pipe that was really wanted it to be an 8-inch pipe for drainage that really wouldn't fit because of a gas main that was in the area. So the rain event that we had here last week, that significant rain event that came down real quick, showed that there was an awful lot of rise in the water taking on. It never came over, but it went right there and then went away. So the idea was to look to put in a redundant 6-inch line next to that, which would then allow to get us more flow through that, which would then help to make sure we don't have any problems down there like that. So that was one of the other things you'll see that's going on back there. But hopefully tomorrow they're going to start on that final course and be done by the end of this week. So for everybody's patience through that. The next one really, we've talked a lot about the social district common areas. Don't believe really where everybody's sitting right now downtown that it's that beneficial to everyone down there at this point in time. I think that's just something we will continue to keep our finger on the pulse of what we've got going on. 3 of our 4 businesses already have their outdoor license that they're using, and they've expanded out there. One of them does not, and they're currently working on trying to get something worked out for them. So we'll continue to stay in touch with the folks downtown and bring something back to you should that need arise. Well, unfortunately, too, the Celebrate Elma event that we've really been working pretty hard on of wanting to bring here in August, it's just a reality that when the committee got together last week, by August 21st, 22nd, as we're looking at what's going on with spikes and some of the other things that have been put out by executive order, it'd be pretty hard for the city to host an event where we're trying to bring people all together, but then not allow people to be together. If we'd be spending more time planning on how do we keep everybody apart by having different event venues and things. So the good thing is what we have is a real good groundwork in place for us to go forward. And if we can move to that, that phase 5, if we get there at some point in time, we'll have a 4 to 6 week layout of being able to reboot everything back up. If it's pretty apparent phase 4 is where we're going to be for a long period of time, then we'll do some planning to make sure we can start to get it. But we've got a couple dates in September, October. One of the things we're concerned about is obviously the entertainment folks that are staying on board with us through the Highland Festival. But in reality, with everything going on, there's not people banging on their door either. So we're pretty confident we can keep them as part of where we're going. Probably the big news of the week, the CARES Act funding we did get approval by the legislature and the governor for the $300 million to come to local governments. And actually over this weekend and then through Monday, I was able to complete the application process. The Public Safety and Public Health Payroll Reimbursement Program is a $200 million. I think I put $2 million in the newsletter. That really wasn't going to fund much. My mistake. That was a typo. It's $200 million, which will fund a lot more from there. $200 million total statewide. And what this is a reimbursement of payroll, which includes wages, overtime, leave time, employer paid benefits, for April and May of 2024, both for us, which would be public safety, which would be police and fire, and then a portion of admin time that we spent in planning for COVID. And so I submitted yesterday to the state of Michigan a total request for both April and May of $227,326 is what we're requesting in reimbursement. $172,299 of that was for police, $36,369 was for fire, and then $18,658 in admin is what we'll be requesting there. And firefighters, this is a reimbursement program, which means we would have to, and I will bring this back to you once, but I'm not going to bring it until we get finalization or confirmation from the state that we're getting this. I've put on the distribution portion of the grant, a distribution of September 25th. We have until September 30th to make a decision, but we've been told that we would already have known if we got approved for this. So what it would be is there's $34,000 total in this, $19,000 for firefighters and $15,000 for police officers. But well ahead of the September 30th deadline and our self-imposed deadline of September 25th to pay it out, we would have received confirmation back at that point before then by the state of Michigan. So those are coming up. That's the first bit of money that we've seen coming back down the pike at us. So that's good news to see. We did sell another piece of property at Gemstone that I'm hopeful they will get started on here in the next, I think, Eric, you've already received some paperwork back from them. So they've been real good of turnaround and getting started. Gave you a picture of a couple of the homes that are in progress really well, moving along, plus one of them that's already done. So that's nice to see. Hopefully that will continue. It's been a good relationship. And then the last thing I'd like to touch on with you is the Republic Services issues that we've been having. Mr. Allman, I know you've been having your own, that we've been trying to deal through some things with you with some of the problems that we've had. I think we've been well aware that over the last 2 months especially, we've had an awful lot of missed pickups. We've had an awful lot of complaints about debris on the roadway. And it's not just missing one or two, it's missing complete sections of the city at certain point in times. I think I told you I was just going to try and take care of a problem thinking one person and throw it in the back of one of the pickup trucks and then throw it away and talk with Republic until I realized the entire street plus another block of another street had been missed. So I couldn't pick that much up. So we've had some discussions with Republic and it was very interesting. David, we still have 2 years left on our contract at this point in time, correct?
I think there's 3 if I remember correctly.
Yeah. We're 2.5 in, we're about halfway through. I thought it was interesting that I had asked for a meeting. We had a solid waste authority meeting, which is just us in St. Louis, and decided that we were going to bring Republic here to answer some questions. The public's actually been very patient with the city of Elma, understanding we have a contract. But as I've gone out and talked to people now and checking on some of the garbage issues that we've had, there's a lot of complaints. People are lined up as to what we're getting for our money. Republic did come to me then last week, out of the blue, decided they'd stop by. Could we have a little meeting? The meeting was interesting because really the base of the meeting was we signed a unlimited pickup contract when this was done. There's already been an alteration made to what unlimited means, which we defined it by, correct me, David, 3 by 3 cubic.
Yeah, we defined the dimensions.
It's still an awful lot of garbage, and we haven't really had any issues. But all through COVID, too much out. That's not just the one item. It's construction material. It seems to me that the problem's become picking up the garbage. That has been something. Well, some things came really to the forefront during our discussion. Republic's contention is that our tonnage has increased significantly, and I'll bring you all the details when they come. I'm going to invite him here on the 28th to talk about this. And that we are one of the last cities of our size that still deals with trash pickup manually. There's been a strong push for us to move to carts, which is significantly more expensive. $6 to $7 per household per month is what the change to carts would be. And I think that's definitely actually Republic's goal is to be only carted within the next 5 years as a company. They have had a number of people quit because it appears that doing that manual labor of picking up our garbage manually and throwing it into the thing, a lot of people don't want to do that. And we've had 7 what I was told, 7 people quit over the last 2 months during this because for some reason, the city of Elma, we have had a high increase in what is at our curb. Again, they signed a contract for unlimited pickup. So it's hard to be very sympathetic with that. But what I would like to do is invite them here on the 28th, make sure that it's known because we've been answering a lot of the questions with the public to have Republic answer some questions. And I'd like Matt from Republic to give you a better idea of what they're thinking about in terms of their contract going forward. The interesting point about talking about carting and looking at that, it's never about what would it cost us to cart, it's how would we extend if we were to accept carting, we would have to not extend the contract, we would have to take a contract on for 5 years. So there's always the other side of this 5 years. I can tell you, I know that we have not been very happy over the last year or so with this, and probably even before that. So there's a lot of areas that we need to look at. We're in a solid waste authority with St. Louis. I think that was probably done for cost, for volume, but in reality, we have very, very different needs as to how we're managing the trash in our areas. So I would love to have him here on the 28th so he can hear more of the problems that we're having, and he can try to present some of those solutions.
Is St. Louis having the same problem?
Interesting, Larry. St. Louis was having a lot of problem about 6 months ago. And I didn't find that out until I called to have a solid waste authority meeting because I wanted to there's only 2 people. So if we're going to have any discussion, Sarah informed me that if we're going to have any discussion, we actually are having a meeting. So we actually posted a meeting, and that's when I found out that about 6 months ago, they were having quite a few problems with their pickup in their areas. They resolved that by their resolution, they told me, was by calling in every day at 3:30 to ask St. Louis if there was any complaints. I'm talking with Sarah, that's the same thing they're doing with us. Well, people don't get out of work right at 3:30 and people are getting home later, and that's when we find out they didn't pick up their garbage. In the last 6 weeks, we've had 3 times in the last 6 weeks, we've had major sections of the city that were missed. Different excuses each time. It's an issue with fill-in drivers because they're having trouble getting drivers who didn't have all the maps. So they actually missed a complete portion of the city weren't sure about that road, all kinds of things. So, and really on the southeast section of the city, they've been missed a number of times just themselves. So, the discussion the other day was almost them talking about how can we get out of this as much as us wanting to get out of this because their only solution seems to be for us to pay more to cart during the middle of a contract that we already still have. So I would love to bring Mr. Biolat forward so he can have that discussion with you as a group so we can take a look at that.
Okay.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Who has the first question?
I'm
sorry, Roxanne.
Are they the only option we have, or are there other options?
There's other options. I would tell you, obviously, they keep an eye on each other. When we had made a posting on Facebook here a few weeks ago that we had a miss and a big issue that went on with a miss in the community, I got an email the next day from Granger that just wanted to remind us that they had a representative in the area in case we were looking to talk to someone. So there are definitely other options and other possibilities that we would definitely be willing to take. We do have a contract.
Granger's nice people.
So
they come up to the urban days and pick up the garbage for us and do a lot of.
If I'm being honest with you guys, and I brought this up the other day, the job's to pick up the garbage. It seemed to me over the last 3 months that the issue is picking up the garbage. I mean, that's what we've contracted you for. And we keep hearing, David's mentioned to me every time, everything is about a change to the contract. It's a change to the contract. It's like somebody low bid us at the time that we took the contract on saying they would do this and provide this. And now we're coming back saying we can't provide that. There's no doubt from what he showed me the other day, they have probably turned upside down on this with whatever the tonnage increase that's happened in Elma. I want to talk about Elma College. That I don't believe there's a large enough population of the students living.
I think on my side, on the south side, there's a lot of days that I see the garbage truck driver on my way to work, and he will pick up one bag and then move on to the next house. Yeah. And there's only 3 bags at the house. So I've seen that several times over the last couple of years. So
That
It's
happens
not,
regularly.
I mean, and then leaving the, the big things sometimes, but if there's 3, I don't know, maybe it's 5 bags and he picks up 2, but you know what I mean? It's not an over amount that you would think,
It doesn't
we'd
fit in
have
the
an issue
contract either
with.
because it shouldn't be over, because in the contract, they're supposed to pick up an unlimited amount. And so we've had
Well, it's
some,
just everybody's cleaning during COVID and getting rid of stuff, so we're having a problem with garbage.
we had that discussion due to COVID. We made some changes and we've made some allowances to make sure that we could do, recycling was cut for a long time. Everything comes back to, but we could do this for you. And even recycling, it was, we could do this for you, but it'll cost you $7,000 a week. So we can take the recycling back.
So is it possible to get, to have Tony look over the, contract and see what it would cost to get out of contract and maybe put the proposal out there for other Granger, and if there's anybody else that would want to do a contract to see how much it was for new service?
Yeah, one of the proposals actually that Republic even brought to me when we were talking the other day involved, they would be willing to allow us to bid out cart service and make a decision to go elsewhere if we weren't happy with them, but that was only for cart service. I'm going to do some research ahead of time. There's a couple studies out there that I would like to see what's the reality with cart service versus manual service. It sounds, at least from their standpoint, like, well, you're like the last of the last that's still having manual service, and it's creating a real difficult issue for our workers. And my take is that's not my problem. That's your problem, that you have a problem with your workers, because we still have 2 years left on our contract.
And
Tony,
Matt, can you hear me?
Yeah.
If a couple of things. I mean, I think it might be worthwhile to take a quick look at the contract to see if there are, because I'm assuming that there are descriptions of what a default would be and descriptions of what our obligations would be to notify them if there is a default that might put us in a position where we could terminate the contract early. And that might be something to think of. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Granger the company that was handling this before?
Prior.
The last contract that,
Yes.
that we went with Republic, and I think it was a cost thing. And it was interesting at the time because I think Larry's correct. I don't think anyone had any problem with Granger. The idea was we were going to save a significant amount of money with Republic.
I recall that being the case. Yeah, there was all a money issue, and I personally, I don't think I'm really anxious to get out of this contract. It seems to me like we got a bargain contract that somebody did a good job of negotiating from our side and probably a poor job of negotiating from their side. I'm not terribly anxious to increase our costs at this point just to help them out. I don't think that's certainly not my number one goal here. I think we
But
need
would
to
it be helping our community out?
Yeah, that's
I
the
think
only
we can
issue.
hold their feet to the fire and make them do what they contracted to do. They're a big enough company; they can just absorb it.
And they are a big
That's
company,
right.
Greg. And to be clear, we have attempted, I don't want to say help, but we've made some concessions. We've done some things differently. Part of the issue too is if I hear about, it's gotten to the point where I haven't now for 2 weeks, but I was going out every morning before I came to work, driving around so that I could anticipate what was going to be the reason why we didn't get something picked up again. And I would hear, well, we don't pick up construction stuff. And I found one house, and that's not an issue. Tag it then, make sure the person is notified of what the issue is. That's not happening either. They're not following their own protocols of tagging things and making sure they're letting all the phone calls continually come into us and have to deal with it. Somebody mentioned the idea with Granger. I hear that from people when I've been out. They're like, we never had this. I never knew people were that in tuned to what was going on with that pickup, because people say that by name. We never had this problem with Granger before, and they never did that. So I'm sure the cost may be different, but the cost is going to be different with Republic anyway as we move forward, but they do have a contract. They do have a contract.
And I think the question might be that, Tony, you want to take a look at what it would cost Republic to get out of this contract.
Well, here's the
there,
thing.
there may be, before you guys go any further, sometimes every contract for these kinds of size have an escape clause, which is, for any reason, if I tell you I'm ending in 90 days or whatever, either party can do that. As we get into it, if Republic doesn't like it, they can do the same thing to us if that clause is in our contract.
Well, the other issue is there are certain remedies in the case of a default. And holding someone's feet to the fire really isn't one of those remedies ordinarily. I mean, ordinarily, if you don't like what they're doing and you can prove that they're not taking care of their end of the bargain, you get out of the contract. You terminate it without any negative repercussions to yourself. The only other thing I could think of without looking at it would be you might withhold some of the payment. But then that, that might create, a situation where they may decide they're going to leave. So I think it's not as simple as we can force them to do what they are supposed to do and keep them on the hook for the entire time. That may or may not be possible. I mean, the remedy might be we've got to, we can leave now and make a deal with somebody else. That's why it might help to take a quick look at it.
Sure. We'll do that, and keep in mind that we're part of an authority. It is us and St. Louis, but we've had some of these preliminary discussions already as to making sure that we're taking care of each other in this. So
I appreciate if you'd send a copy of that contract around for us again. I don't know if I've got one in the file, but a fresh copy for everybody to brush up on would probably be in order here.
I sure will. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for Matt? Okay, hearing none, the commissioners may receive the following. Well, I guess we need to receive his report. So is there a motion to receive that?
Move to receive.
Move to receive. Support.
Report. Sarah, if you would, please.
Roxanne,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Audra,
Yes.
and Roger.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. The motion is carried. Next up, the commissioners may receive the following reports by one resolution. The commissioners may, any commissioner may remove any item within the section for individual discussion and vote. We have three additional reports, the Transportation Center and the Police Department reports for June 2020, along with the Planning Commission minutes of July 6, 2020. Your pleasure on those three reports.
Move to receive.
Support.
I have a motion of support. Does anybody care to pull any of those items for comments, questions, staff, any background?
Greg, if I could give one to let everybody know that we have reached a point where we've called back majority of the part-time staff in transit. Ridership has increased significantly once again, and the reality is of keeping everybody distanced. If you remember the question when I first came over, when I first started transit, everybody asked me, how come you only got one or two people on the bus? This is the first time I can answer that question because we are separating people. We only have one or two. Those days were gone, but they're kind of back. And in reality, Brett and I had a discussion. As you remember, we approved a contract for the additional money coming back from there. That would actually start to cost us money if we didn't get people back working. And actually it helps our community too, because we are seeing a real increase in folks that are coming back. So.
And it allows me to give my full-time staff the vacation that they haven't been able to take since we were running bare bones.
Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none. Sarah, would you please take the vote?
Yes, thank you. Mayor, will you start, please?
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Audra,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
Roxanne.
Yes.
Thank you.
Passed. Thank you very much. Moving down the agenda, next item is new business. We have review and consideration of action to be taken on a preliminary planned unit development plan for 319 East Downey Street.
So moved.
Support.
We don't have a motion, do we? We're just as a review and we're.
Right. I don't believe there's a motion unless you have a motion to make.
No,
This is.
I'm sorry. I thought we had to
an
approve it.
information piece and told us what action we will have to make at some point. The way it's
Rescind the motion.
read. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes, we go through your review, and if you have any comments or changes, conditions, And then tonight, you'll, as a commission, either approve this preliminary plan, approval with changes or conditions, postpone or deny. So that's what you're looking at tonight for this is the preliminary. And then after we get this done tonight, the developer has 6 months to go back and get to work on finishing up the final plan, and that will come back to the planning commission when that was ready. Then it will come back up to you. So that's what we're looking at tonight.
Eric, is there going to be another open meeting with citizens like before, after we see the preliminary plan and get a final plan?
It's not a requirement to have a public hearing, but I will send out letters to all those in the neighborhood to let them know that we have the final plan available.
Okay.
I assume the motion was withdrawn then, is that what I heard? Is that
Correct. Correct.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
Can you remind me if there are income restrictions on the renters of this, or if this is just anybody can rent them?
Don't believe there are any income restrictions on this. Is that correct, Ryan? Mr. Smith? You are muted, but I take the shaking of the head as yes. So no restrictions, I believe.
Greg, the overall plan, it does not call for any HUD or Section 8 requirements.
And if that was to be the case, that would have to be in the plan if that was the direction the developer was going.
Exactly. That's why this is all comprehensive. Gemini inside their plan, states that directly of what they're looking at, their income levels and all those sort of things or their rent they'll be looking for. So that is stated in the plan.
Thank you.
Were we planning any presentation of the plan? It's a very lengthy plan. I know we've been through a lot of it over and over again. I'm not sure just what you had in mind for us to review tonight, Eric.
What I can do just real quickly is just talk about the PUD in general and why we're looking at this project as a PUD as opposed to just a regular, just a regular zoning, like it says R1 zoning, or looking at it as a conditional rezoning or a rezoning of the parcel. Really what we're looking at is the density, and underneath our PUD, that's really why that's an important tool to use, especially on this project here. By putting together those 120 some pages that you have for the plan, there's requirements by the developer to answer a lot of questions on how this project will come together, what it'll look like, and who it'll service. And then when we're looking at that to, I guess you'd say, not necessarily reward, but to provide more density to this development, we use this plan to do that. But just a quick brief overview, the lot is 3.15 acres. There's 40 units proposed for the site, ranging in size from 448 square feet to 1371 square feet. Since the applicant is requesting a density other than what is allowed by current zoning, and where this is a zoned R1 zoning district, the density shall be allowed at the discretion of the Planning Commission, City Commission, based on the master plan, surrounding land uses, and demonstration that the proposed PUD provides quality design and minimal impacts to the surrounding properties. The proposed density is 9% under the maximum density allowed within the ordinance of 14 units per acre. The additional density greater than specified may be allowed at the discretion of Planning Commission based upon demonstration by the applicant, the design excellence of the PUD resulting from material benefit to all the significant portion, or an innovative design producing significant energy efficiency, pedestrian vehicular safety, and long-term aesthetic beauty. So basically, as you go through the entire plan, it speaks to all those items in there. The type of housing that will look like. You have your elevations that either they're no more than 2 stories and 1 story. That parking and pedestrian is all interior to the for the residents to the interior. Energy efficiency. The proposal has solar panels on all the units. Also included is 2 charging stations for cars. From aesthetic standpoint, so there are many trees that have been provided in the plan and plantings around each one of the units, and all the landscaping is planned to be sprinkled. So, there's a lot of questions, a lot of answers that go on to this. And at the Planning Commission public hearing, the Public Works Director made had some comments that we did add to the approval with conditions that is going to be taken care of underneath the civil engineering, which would be in the final plan for review. So really, I just, if there's any direct questions from the commission on any part of the plan and that I can help with, or David Ringel or the developer Ryan Smith. So.
First question.
Ryan, has the daycare officially been dropped at this point?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Did anybody hear that? I didn't hear that.
He shook his
He
head.
just shook
Larry.
his head, yes.
Shook his head, yes, Tony.
Okay. Sorry.
Ryan, are you able to unmute? I have a question, but no.
Sounds like he had trouble at the planning commission with his audio as well. So it sounds like yes or no questions is about all he can answer right now. Or we could text him perhaps, or you could text us.
He can come in on phone, he's saying.
Oh, he come in on phone? Would you like to have him come in on phone? Are there other additional questions for him?
I just had a question, but I don't think it's a yes or no.
Okay. Ryan, could you please dial in? Do you have the number? Okay, I believe he is dialing in right now, so. Formulate your questions.
$706. Let me see if that's right.
While Ryan's dialing in, also in the packet, obviously, was staff comments, and we did include the questions and comments from the neighbor across the street, Julio Benitez, and the responses from staff and from the developer. And then, of course, the Planning Commission minutes with all the comments from there, too. That was in your packet also.
Didn't make the minutes, but I know I got an additional letter from another neighbor, and I don't know, did you get that as well, Eric?
It was not delivered to me.
So City Hall did not receive a copy. That was just to the commissioners individually.
Well, Eric, maybe you can answer the question. I'm not sure if you know this or not, but in that letter that Greg's referring to, was the question posed as far as, is Ryan going to build all the units at once, or is this going to be a staged, yes, you are building them all at once? Okay. What if, so then second part to the question, the concern was if for some reason you get them all built and say you only can fill them to 50% capacity, some of the neighbors are concerned that they'll just be 60. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Audra, I have a comment on that.
Okay.
We have a rental in our office, and we have dozens of qualified applicants with nowhere to put them. So we don't have nearly enough apartments in Elma. He wouldn't have any trouble filling them, I'm sure.
It was provided in the packet a study that the developer had done as well, indicating the same thing.
Okay,
I mean, we have dozens of applications that are already qualified, ready to find a place to move into, and there's nothing for them to move into. So there definitely is a need for this.
Well, that's good to hear, because I mean, my personal view is that I think there's a need. I know of a lot of, I call them young retirees. Well, they're in their, 50s, 60s, that are looking for.
I apologize.
We're glad you're here.
Okay, so can you ask me your question again, please, Audra? I'm sorry.
Yes. We received a letter this week from a citizen that has some concerns, and the question was, if all the units are built at once, and they're not, I mean, are you confident they're going to be filled to capacity, or are you nervous that there will be some sitting empty for a long time? What's your thoughts?
Okay, so I think their concern is if they're half full, then I'll come back and say, I can't lease them. I'm going to turn this into low-income housing or some other subsidized program. And so the answer is we don't do that. So if I can only lease half of them, that's the problem between me and the bank, and I got to pay the mortgage out of my pocket, basically. Our studies show that there's 200 plus renters that want to move into Alma every year, and that doesn't count the ones that are already in town that will move from somewhere else. So demand-wise, even if the study's 75% wrong, we're still okay. So I'm confident that we'll fill them. We've already got 10 or 12 people on a waiting list for 40. That's 30% of them already, spoken for-ish. I don't think it's a problem, but if it doesn't, I guess I got to cover it out of my pocket and go from there.
Thank you, Ryan.
Okay.
Question.
One of the things that impressed me, I did listen in to the Planning Commission meeting and was thrilled and very surprised to hear Michael Selman, who had been one of the primary dissenters on the first project, to come in and say that he was in complete support of the project. He said, I like it better than the one presented a couple of years ago, and commended Gemini Capital on the job of listening to the neighborhood concerns. The major contention of anything on the Planning Commission meeting was the question of drop off and stuff for the daycare, but the daycare has now been eliminated as a possibility there. But the 180 flip from Michael Selman was what I thought was a real surprising and very positive feature.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We've been working on it for 3 years and taking a lot of input from all the people. So we're trying our best. I mean, we can't make everybody 100% happy, but if I can make 90% of everybody happy, I think I'm doing okay.
You're doing well if you get 90%. I don't see the dropping of the daycare as a positive for the community. I understand why it's not probably economically feasible at this point, but I am disappointed because I was excited that was going to be a top-notch, state-of-the-art daycare. That would have been really nice to have in our community, and I'm not giving up on the fact that somebody still can do that. There's an opportunity there for somebody to take that and make a state-of-the-art daycare for our community someplace, if not the
kind of unrelated question, but related. Whatever happened to the daycare that was supposed to go originally on the property between the high school and the middle school? That plan called for a dentist office and a daycare, I believe, originally.
I'm not aware, so I can't answer that one.
But that wasn't your project.
That's we did a rezoning for them to accomplish that goal, and maybe it will in the future, but at this point, no, we've not seen any plans for that. So
the developer dropped the plans or dropped the ball on that one. They just stopped coming back, right? They just stopped the process.
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
So Ryan, on the daycare, there was nobody that was interested in paying the rent, or what happened with that?
I had 3 or 4 different individuals or businesses that were interested in it, and for various reasons, I think it has to do with cash flow. I think it has to do with getting financing. And then COVID came, and they all said, "Oh no, not right now. I'm not doing a daycare right now." Tentatively, the building was about $900,000 or $1 million, and so that's a big rent check. And I think people are just hitting the pause button for now. It might come back later. We're going to leave it undeveloped. So if somebody wants to come back later, we'll do a whole new planned unit development for phase 2, and we'll go through this entire process again. And everyone will have a chance to say yay or nay on that. So.
Yeah, we do have. I sit on a lot of committees, and we have a desperate need for childcare. Quality childcare. in our community, and it's crazy. So hopefully maybe someone will come forward and
I know it's a very, very challenging industry to operate in. There's so many rules and regulations, and it's just the time it takes, the investment it takes. It is a very challenging industry. Hats off to anybody that does that, even part-time in your home. Hey, any more questions or comments?
I believe that this and analyzed and looked at in the history of the city of Elma, maybe more than this, if you go back 3 years. And so the idea that maybe some things haven't been heard or those things have not gotten to you as a commission, frankly, offends me a little bit, because I think that Ryan, number one, has went over and above to meet with people, talk to people, make some unbelievable adjustments in his planning process. I think that as a commission, you have been well in tune with what's going on with this project and where we're going. I think that if some people have ran out of questions, maybe, but because they've all been answered throughout the time. So I just want to make sure that in my opinion, and hopefully you don't have any further questions, and that we are definitely at a point where from the planning process that we're looking at here, that there's satisfaction on the part of the commission that this plan is, if somebody's going to make a motion here at some point in time, that we're really in agreement as to where we're at with this plan, because I do think it's been well vetted out over a 3-year period.
And Matt, if I might just say one thing too, I for everybody's edification, I guess, I think in a nutshell, what you're looking at, this planned unit development allows you some flexibility to increase density somewhat in a situation. If you look at the ordinance, a situation where the benefit would not otherwise be feasible or unlikely to be achieved. And so you're looking at a situation where this piece of property has been for sale for so long, however long it has been. I think it was 12 lots on this block. And people could have bought it, could have bought one lot, they could have bought whatever. It's been out there for a while. So the question is, would the development that some folks would like to see, would that be possible? There's been kind of a trial run. And so you look to something like the planned unit development to give you some flexibility. You're going to have a little more density than what would otherwise have been allowed. The question is that in accordance with the master plan? Is this a benefit? It's not going to be an additional burden on utilities and other things, city services. And so it's a way to achieve what the master plan wants to achieve, giving you a little bit of wiggle room with respect to the zoning ordinance. I think that's what you're looking at today as far as the preliminary plan, and whether you accept it with conditions, you table it, or you deny it. If it's accepted with conditions, Ryan has 6 months to come up with the final plan, and we do this again. It comes before the city commission, and you guys get to decide.
Yeah, if I could speak just a little bit to that, the reason why you need more density is we can lower the cost of the construction and we can make more affordable housing. So, that's really what it comes down to, is if we can get some density, then we can get scale from a construction standpoint, and we can get prices down to attainable, where the rents are less than 30% of the Gratiot County's median income. That's what we're shooting for.
Satisfy the population we have in the type of work that they're doing, the type of income they have. So it's I'm one of the things that impressed me very much, as a former resident in that neighborhood, I lived in that neighborhood probably 50 some out of my 60 odd years, is the way you're parking cars all internally on that block. And I believe you're about 2 cars per unit, which is just phenomenal to get 80 cars parked internally on that block without parking everybody all over the streets or all over the yards, which we have an issue with in that neighborhood. And to me, and I don't know if Aaron would agree, but I think to me, one of the biggest detractions we have in some of our neighborhoods is people parking on their front lawns, because they have multiple cars they don't want to move in the morning, so they'll park one on the front lawn. That to me, that really detracts from the neighborhood. I think it detracts the property values, and we're trying to fight that, and we've taken some steps in that direction. But, you know, I think the cleverness of this development solves that problem. And I have a high degree of confidence that Ryan is going to maintain those properties in top-notch fashion, and they'll be some of the, you know, most attractive properties in the neighborhood, if not the city. So,
Thank you.
So does the motion need to do something like the development proposal as stated?
sorry, Roxanne, I didn't hear you. Could you say that again?
If we make a motion, is it, do we accept the development proposal as issued or stated, or how do we go about that wording of that?
My guess would be, and Eric, you could tell us, I would say it's as stated with the changes suggested at the Planning Commission.
Yes.
And
Okay,
then plus any additional comments or changes that we would ask for tonight, if there are any.
Okay, I don't have any additional, so I would make that motion as stated with the items from the Development Commission or Planning Development addressed.
Support.
Motion. Roger gives support. One last chance for comments or questions.
Well, I got interrupted by Roxanne, so I just wanted to tell you, Ryan, I'm really excited about the project. Like Matt said, I've been following it all along, you know, for what, 3 years now. I did watch the Planning Commission meeting the other night on YouTube, so I did get to see what people's concerns were. And I think it's going to be great. I'm excited, and I may have to put my parents on the list. So thank you for all you've been doing.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Any last comments? Hearing none. Sarah, if you would please address the commissioners for the vote. Take care of the vote. Excuse me.
Thank you. Larry?
Yes.
Nick?
Muted, Nick.
Nick?
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle?
Yes.
Audra?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. Looks like that motion is passed. And thank you, Ryan. We do appreciate your investment in the communities. So our next
Thank
item
you.
would be,
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Ryan.
thank you. Again, our next item is going to be the appropriations. Is anyone care to pay the bills? We'll entertain a motion for that.
Pay the appropriations.
Okay, Nick
Second.
and Michelle. Comments or questions? Does anybody have any questions on the bills? What we're paying, why we're paying them? Seeing none. Sarah, if you would, please.
Thank you. Roger?
Yes.
Roxanne?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't hear you.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Audra?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. It looks like that has passed as well. Commissioner comments. Roger, I have you on the top left, so you go first, please.
I'm gonna have to quit signing in here so early, so I quit being up on the top shelf here. I just want to say that I'm really excited about getting this one step further down the line as far as the PUD goes. I think it's important to the city. I think it's exciting for the city to have this going on, and I would really love to see it come into fruition. I am just hoping that we can stay as a city and as a county and as a state in touch with what we really need to be doing here with the COVID situation to keep us moving forward and not backward. I would like to see schools open. I would like to see businesses open, but not at the cost of people. That's it.
Roger. Nick Piccolo.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you the first time.
So that's okay. Sorry.
Really nothing to add. Just Hope people are having a safe and happy summer.
Well said. Audra?
I agree with what Roger just said, fully. The only thing I would add, just kind of a big loss to our community on July 2nd, Pastor George Showers passed away. I know he's kind of involved in the Montcalm community too, but he's pretty well known around Ithaca and Elma, and just such a great guy. Really one of those people that even if he didn't know you, he acted like he did, and he was so happy to see everybody out and about all the time, and just a really great person, and so he will definitely be missed.
Additionally, if I
I
may,
do believe he did know everyone.
yeah, he did. Additionally, the loss of Scott Shaver, the farm market, another big loss to the city.
Yes.
Thank you. Michelle?
Did you say Michelle?
Michelle, yes.
Yes, sorry.
Sorry.
I just wanted to remind everybody that Rural Urban Day this year was, we had to cancel it, but we came up with an idea of Rural Urban Day on the go. So we're asking everybody to hit up your local restaurants in Gratiot County on Thursday for takeout or dine-in at all restaurants for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If you check the Chamber's website, you'll see the participating restaurants, and some of them are having specials, farmer omelets in the morning, I believe, at the main cafe, to start out your morning like a farmer and go all day. So I invite everybody to go out there. I wanted to thank all the citizens that have been going out for Keep Alma Beautiful, and everybody keep going out there and picking those weeds for us and helping us out. And that's about it for me.
Thank you. Larry Mott.
Just everybody be safe. This thing is not over, and we need to be careful. That's it.
Hey, thank you, Larry. I would agree. I'm sure we all do. Roxanne?
Nothing additional to add. Thank you.
Let's see. Sarah?
Nothing from me either. Thank you.
Nothing about the election upcoming or anything?
You don't want to get me started. Very busy. There's a lot going on.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are extremely busy. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Tony?
I would agree with Roger, as I always do, but I would love to see schools open in the fall. I think it's important for the kids. I think that one of the things that we have to account for here is, the emotional upset and whatever, and that all of this causes on our youth, and who would love to be out and about with their friends and everything else. And this is difficult. I also would like to see sports one of these days. And I think anybody that wants to see both of those things, wear your mask. When you're in a public place, wear your masks. Whether you believe it or you don't believe it, it doesn't matter. If you wear the masks, we can get to the next phase, and school could start, and maybe sports would start. And that'd be better for everybody. And happy birthday to my lovely wife today, too. That's it.
Happy birthday, Teresa.
You should be out buying dinner somewhere.
That's what I hope.
We'll try and hustle this along. So
thank you very much.
Feed your bride.
Thank you.
Matt?
I just echo what Tony said. None of us want to be in the middle of all the controversies and all the things happening. We've got to find some common ground, folks. We have to find some common ground to make sure that we're able to do these things to get school started. And I agree with you, Tony. Sports has to come back. I can't watch. I love the Red Wings from '97, but I can't watch anymore. I'm done with nostalgia. I need something. I watched Korean baseball the other day. I had no idea who it was, but just to give you an idea with some of the changes, we have continued here. The building's still closed, mostly. I mean, we are open to the public through Ring, and we're using that. That's worked out pretty well. We've made a few changes internally here. We've got to get a little bit better at making sure that we have masks on when we're in certain areas. You kind of tend to let your guard down in an office with everybody around. And so we've just had some conscious talk about that today and going to make sure on that. So keep supporting our businesses. They're all trying to survive right now. So let's just keep supporting them and making sure that we're going to get them through that. So other than that, that's all I got today.
Matt, well said, and I would certainly agree with everything everybody said. Please support the local businesses. They need it desperately to get through this. If you can go out and get some takeout from downtown or from the local restaurants, please do that. Support the local shops that are here. They would appreciate it, I'm sure. So with that, we'll open up to the public. Is there any members of the public that would like to address the commission? If so, please let us know somehow. I'm not sure. Is there a protocol, Aaron, or do they message you, or do you hear them talking, or? Okay, thank you.
Aaron, I think I muted him, so we might need to unmute him. There we go.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you very well. I feel like I've gotten to know a lot of you people there, and you don't know who I am. I kind of had a presentation, but in view of the time and everything else, in view of the fact that I had submitted the 3-page letter, which I hope that you will look at, I am frankly surprised and heartened by all the positive comments, particularly as it relates to this Ryan and building and things such as that. What I had originally said was a plan to say was of a much more negative nature of the situation on East Superior Street and what might be done about it. And I tried to outline some of the options in my letter, largely negative. I thought of one additional thing, and that would be the idea of some kind of an enterprise that might not mind who the neighbors were. I know when listening to what you all talked about tonight that one was daycare and things like that. But, obviously it's difficult for me as somebody who is an outsider to try to fathom what might work and what might not work.
If I could interrupt you for a minute, Mr. Dunchuk, is it?
Yes.
Could you please fill us in? I don't believe the commissioners have received copies of the letter that you were speaking of. And could you please give us your address where you are coming from?
Okay, well, where I'm coming from is my house, which is north of Owasso, Michigan. And in the letter, I talk about the idea that, Elma is such a beautiful community with the classic college and the picturesque downtown. And it so happened that I stumbled onto buying a property that happens to be in between the view of the highway and the blighted mobile home, trailer park, whatever you want to call it. And so what I'm trying to do is to figure out something which would be helpful and mutually beneficial. I am a capitalist, but on the other hand, I am 100% sincere that I would like to see something done that would be a benefit to the community. And right now, anything on that land, including trees, would be an improvement. And so that's basically what I said in the letter, which again, even though you haven't read it yet, that hopefully you will. And then I don't want to take a lot of time because I know in these presentations there's a limited amount of time you're supposed to have. So I don't want to exceed that, but that's basically what I have to say.
Okay, well, thank you. And we appreciate your comments, and we do share your the positive comments that we think there is a lot of positive things going on in our town, and we're trying to keep things going forward positively. So appreciate that. Is there anyone else that would care to address the commission? Okay, with that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Anybody so inclined? Roger, I see a hand.
Support.
We have support from, I think, was that Roxanne?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Sarah, would you please take the vote one last time?
Roxanne,
Yes.
Mayor,
Yes.
Larry,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
Audra,
Yes.
Roger.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, the motion is passed, and so we'll stand adjourned until next time. I thank everyone for their time and comments tonight. Great meeting. Appreciate it. You guys are a great team. I'm impressed the way we can work together.